Right there, a very good morning to all of you. It's Tanveer Muhammad Masood, and in this edition, I'll be talking on one of the most important chapters of English language and English grammar, and that is about verbs and adverbs as well as synonyms and antonyms. Now, verbs and adverbs basically are considered to be the most important pillar of English grammar because it's the basics of English grammar. It is basically where the journey of English grammar starts. Let me first talk about verbs. What a verb, or what are verbs for that matter? Verbs are basically considered to be action words. When I talk about action words, I basically mean to say words which signify some sort of action on part of nouns. Action on part of nouns such as people doing something, or maybe an animal is doing something, or maybe some object is basically involved in some sort of activity or action. Take for example, Tom and Jerry are playing out in the garden. Tom and Jerry are basically playing out in the garden. Here, Tom and Jerry are basically involved in some sort of action, and that is playing. Playing, playing. So, playing is verb out here. For any act or any act of doing something, that is basically considered to be verb in English grammar. Take another example. The kite is flying up in the sky. So in this particular example, flying is a verb, and because the kite is involved in some sort of action. It's an act of doing something, so it becomes a verb. Now, next is adverb. Both verb and adverbs are related and connected with each other. Adverb is basically the takeover of verb. It's basically the other subpart or subdivision of verb. We can say, in other words, how this happens when we are trying to describe the verb further with some other word, that becomes an adverb. Say for example, the vehicle is running slowly. Here, running is basically a verb and slowly is basically an adverb, because slowly is describing the act of doing something by the vehicle, that is running. The vehicle is running slowly. Slowly. Ly is basically one such word that most of the times is used in adverb. So adverb is basically that word which describes the verb further. It is an act of a word which is describing the actual verb in a proper manner, in a more comprehensive and a more proper manner, you can say that. So take for example, the tortoise is running, or rather the tortoise is walking slowly. So walking here is verb and slowly here is adverb, because what happens, the act of doing something we all know is as a verb, and adverb basically describes the verb further. Take another example. The boy worked very hard. Here, worked is basically the verb and hard is basically an adverb. Why? Because the word hard is describing the verb further. That's an adverb. So in this way, verbs and adverbs are basically connected and related to each other. But in most of the cases, we'll find that most of the adverbs are basically uh, ending with ly. They are basically suffixed with ly, and this is the point of recognition of adverbs. However, not in all situations verbs are basically ending with ly. There are situations like the one I explained just now, wherein there's no ly, but still it's a verb. Now let's me talk about another very important and most crucial part of English grammar, that is synonym. Synonym is basically uh, same word meaning. It means one word having the same meaning. That is called synonym. So for example, big and large. These are basically synonyms. Something which is big is also large. Take another example. Small and tiny. Small is basically something which is very short or very small, and tiny is also another meaning of small. Another example I'll give. Um, fat and stout. Fat basically means something which is very bulky, and stout is also the same word meaning. So in this way, we can basically understand what exactly is synonym. Antonyms are basically the reverse, the opposite of synonym. What happens in antonym is that it is basically the word which has got opposite or reverse meaning. Opposite and reverse meaning basically means the words which are opposite to each other, they are called antonyms. Take for example, big and short, or say for example, big and small, short and long, uh, sharp and blunt. These are examples of antonyms. These are opposite words. Uh, Hope you got the explanations very helpful, and that your questions basically following this particular round of explanation, you can answer these questions and subscribe to my channel. Thank you. So,